Games to be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money. They say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time. Out and about, out chasing paper. The streets of my house and the house always wins like Vegas. Never down for the count. Second win, second nature. Found mine. Never had my hands out. Fuck favors. By design, everything tailored. In my youth, it was shell toes, no Chuck Taylors. We choke game, how to have a game so it's still the same code game, so it's still the same code. We all pay the cost, I mean pay dues. Move with the mind state that I can't lose. On the grind, push a hard line with my linemen. Back when I was young, they said it's all about timing. Feel it's my time, all the stars are aligning. I'm a diamond in the rough, couple cuts got me shining. This game you cannot cop on consignment. In the field, all we do is execute assignments. The game should be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money, they say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time to talk. The game should be sold, not told. So we finna keep everybody broke. They say time is money, they say money talk. I ain't got no time to waste if you ain't got no time to talk.
First, we get into this paper. See, I want it all, plus some UNDERDOG acres, a lot of alcohol, few dad bags of paper. Run this shit like a ship and I'm the sailor. Cold, kinda like it's fresh up out the freezer. Cold, if she ain't talking bread, I don't need her. Soon as I meet her, I'm a fucker, then I leave her. It's the old Mac knees, treat them all like bottom feeders. Break it down slow for them folks that don't know. I'm a seasoned vet, black belt out the dojo. With a wide range of weapons, so I'm out the holster. Keeping all options open, so many ways that I can fold ya. Told you from the gate, never been about no play. Get it on the go, they never been known for no delay. The game should be sold, not to be told. Keep your mouth shut, don't have to break the mold. Mac knees.
Break the work down, it's fence the move. Push that work out, I distribute. Break the work down, it's fence the move. Push that work out, I just distribute. A young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor.
I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. You know I'm the boy, get money's what I'm used to.
Keep you straight from the gate, so I don't confuse ya. I'm a D-boy, need abusive as users. I'ma make noise, shout to my producer. I'm an entertainer, but I ain't here to amuse ya. Yeah, fuck with shooters and they all fucking users. Come through, wake that ass up like a rooster, hella early in the morning. Early bird gets a worm. Finna get rich for 'em, food for the worms. Cutting cocaine, dumping whole things. It's a cold game, make you run your gold chain. Hungry, but I'm moving in a keto state. For sure, beat the price on the keys in your state. Catch me running up a tire, fucking up a bag. Make me wonder how long will a good thing last. On my Curtis Mayfield, live a life I can't chill. Push a man, pushing packs, all I do is make squeal. Keep it 100, I'm just numb, yo, I can't feel none of these suckers when they say they real. Stacking Uber cash, I'm an out-of-state supplier. Random Uber man, he'll get away drive. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out the foreign or I'm hopping out the Uber. Crew clocking chips opposite of you losers. Can't be broke as a joker, got no sense of humor. Just a young pack mover, shot to my consumer. Jumping out.
Welcome to the show. We've got a Tuesday Dynasty show going on tonight. What is good, y'all? Hammer in the building. What's up, Hammer?
What up, man? My bad about Saturday night, dude, or what day were we on? Yeah, Saturday night. I was going through some real bad allergy stuff happening. I wanted to hang in there as long as I could, but my nose was running. We're in the process of cleaning up and putting flooring in our new apartment, so there's dust everywhere and it was just a mess. So my bad, everybody, on Saturday night for dipping out a little bit early. But I'm back in the building. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling rejuvenated, full of Benadryl. Let's go.
It's unacceptable, Hammer. This is unacceptable.
I showed up, dude. I tried to gut it out as long as I could. I just couldn't MJ flu game it. I tried. I gave it a half. I had to call the bullpen.
Oh God. Like Huss in the building. Marty, what up, Marty? Daniel
Yes, sir.
Berry. What's good, brothers? Bogey in the building. What up, Bogey? What is goody? But yeah, we got the Dynasty Show tonight. We're gonna be talking about the playoff push, I guess, from all aspects, from contending teams. If you're in the middle of the pack, if you're not contending, what are we looking to do? What's some advice? What's some tips that we should be doing? Because you should be active whether you are contending or not. At this point in time, we are in one of those pockets where the playoff window and as well as the trade deadline, depending on your league. So there's a lot of factors, obviously, that will go into it. But before we get into all that, we'll just kind of chill for a minute, have a Q&A. My bad. Time to roll up, spark up. Let's have a little sesh before we kind of get into it here. I'm running a little late, so I didn't even get to roll up yet. That's what I'm doing now. But anyway, my Vikings took a horrible
That was
loss.
brutal, man.
So
Jesus.
upsetting.
Josh Dobbs finally, he's human after all. What? He's human. He can make mistakes. Who knew?
Oh man.
Did
Yeah, I mean, we're still in good shape, but
did you see the Justin Jefferson quote?
What about the fantasy football?
Yeah. He's like basically like, I don't give a fuck about your fantasy. I'm coming back when I'm healthy. So
yeah,
I feel him on that. And listen, I think that goes without saying. I think a lot of, especially the new age athlete, they pay attention to the social media. They pay attention to a lot of that stuff. And now I'm not saying not to pay attention to it, but I'm one of those guys, and I'm not old, but I'm old enough to remember watching sports without social media involvement, right? Where, there wasn't Twitter. Social media was kind of in its infancy. So it wasn't as prevalent a thing, when we first really started getting into our watching sports and really becoming, big fans and stuff like that. So I'm not a fan of it. I understand where he's coming from, but I'm just not a fan of that type of thing.
I mean,
or saying that kind of thing publicly.
I guess he didn't have to say all that. I mean, it is what it is. But we spoke about it. We said that they might be waiting until the bye week, like that he probably wasn't going to come back. So it looks like that's what they're going to do. I mean, we're not in a rush necessarily to bring him back. Obviously,
I think that Denver, that Denver loss hurts more because that would have really kind of solidified that, hey, we're, what would you have been, 7-4 at that point? So you're 6-5, and that's a big difference at this point of the season where it's one of those things. It's like, damn, man, we would have really kind of solidified ourselves, and then we wouldn't have had to not necessarily rush JJ back, but there wouldn't have been as much pressure, for him to get back in the fold, because they didn't look great, honestly. And I think teams are starting to key on Hawkinson a little bit, and force the throws to the Powells and the KJ Osbornes, and the running game isn't great. So they're starting to key in on some of the big guns they have out there. Addison was pretty good, but he can only do but so much. So I can understand some of the pressure, for JJ to come back and just open up that offense, because I think Josh Dobbs is plenty good enough with those weapons in place to get them in the playoffs at this point.
For sure. C-Dog, what up, C-Dog? Is it bad? I want to bench Mahomes for Purdy.
I wouldn't say it's bad. I don't think I think somewhere in a parallel universe somebody's laughing. But no, listen, man. I think if you have Mahomes, it's hard to do. But at this stage of the game, if you're in desperate need for wins and you want to at least have the safer floor at this point, it's a question. I don't know if I'd have the stones to do it, but it's a legitimate conversation the way Purdy's playing versus the way Mahomes is playing. It's tough. And to be fair, they played a pretty good defense in Philadelphia. So in kind of shit weather, Mahomes is supposed to play better than that. He shouldn't have threw that interception to Kevin Byard. Like that was just a really bad interception. But the key is, and I saw a really troubling stat, really twofold. Their second half scoring, I think it's like 5 points a game in the second half for the whole season, close to 6. They've gotten shut out in 3 out of the last 4 second halves. And the game they didn't get shut out was that, no, I think it was Miami that got shut out in the second half, but they won that game. So 3 out of the last 4 games they've been shut out in the second half. So, over a large enough sample size, it starts to become a question. You know what I mean? If it was 1 game or 2 games, you can kind of, you could kind of rationalize it however you want, but averaging 6 points a game for a Patrick Mahomes led offense with Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. Pacheco has been plenty good enough to carry the running load. So yeah, it's definitely a troubling trend that we're starting to see for Patrick Mahomes, particularly in these second halves.
Yeah. I mean, it is a little weird, but they are playing very differently this year, right? It's like they don't have the weapons as much. They're running the ball a little bit more. I mean, Mahomes is still what, QB? What is he right now? Pull up Sleeper real quick.
It might be 8. I got it. Of course, Sleeper has to restart. Oh man, what's my phone running so slow?
Mahomes still has been.
He's QB 8.
What's Purdy?
Purdy had he had 2 good back-to-back
like
good
10.
games.
So he's not crazy far behind. So it's not a crazy stat if you want to look at just the numbers and not, not necessarily the names. So yeah, I mean, if you feel comfortable with Purdy going into the playoffs and you can move Mahomes for like a big piece that can help you for right now, then yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with it. Just depends what you're going to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, said
Yeah.
no, you're not crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't say you're crazy, but I would say this. I mean, Mahomes, I think on any given day can give you like 5 tutty passes where like Purdy's not going to be doing that. So, you do have the upside, but like Hammer said, kind of the safer floor. I mean, Mahomes is still a pretty safe floor as well, but I don't know. I guess that's a tough. It's a tough situation. Do things change? I mean, I know Kelsey's been a little bit banged up. Like, does that have to do with Mahomes? I mean, Kelsey hasn't had I think the last couple games haven't been like huge.
Hasn't been as explosive, yeah. But also too, teams have smartened up. Teams have said, listen, you're not going to beat us with Kelsey. Make Rashee Rice beat us. Make Kadarius Toney beat us. Make Sky Moore beat us. Like, make these guys beat us. You know what I mean? You're not going to run the ball and beat us, even though Pacheco's been really good. But you're not going to win by running the ball with Pacheco 25 times a game. So if we don't let Kelsey beat us, we have a good chance to win.
And I think for the first time, like Mahomes has actually got a really good defense.
The best defense he's had.
Like, they don't need to, I know they're only scoring whatever you said, 5-something points in the second half, but I mean, they're still winning. It's not like they're forced to, they don't need to. So that could be something that goes into it as well, where they're just not in that mode where they've got to pass the ball a shit ton. Now, do they need to be better? Yeah, of course. Hell yeah. I mean, but the defenses, defense is kind of making up for some of the offensive balls. And I think that the Chiefs just say, hey, if we've got a sick defense, I mean, shit, we've got Patrick Mahomes. We could fucking throw anybody out there and we'll at least be okay, but they're not as explosive on offense. Obviously, they don't have, explosive players. You know, they got Kelsey, but they're now more of a, slow dink and dunk kind of methodical more than that, that huge big play potential. Like they don't have a cheetah.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
So what was really interesting, I was watching one of the sports shows today, and they were talking about like there were some receivers to be had over this past offseason. DeAndre Hopkins comes to mind. He would have fit well with Mahomes. He's not that explosive, take you down the field kind of guy, but he's a dependable guy on those third down situations, especially if you take Kelsey out of the game. And I feel like that would open up Kelsey as well a little bit if you had a more steady hand like a DeAndre Hopkins, to pair with that particular offense. So I don't think he would have been the game breaker, but he definitely would have made a difference in being able to move the chains, keep drives going, and then you could run the ball, and kind of do those things, work Kelsey in the middle. So yeah, man, they really got to address that offensive, those wide receivers, because they're just not getting it done. And the Valdez-Scantling thing looms very large, him dropping that pass that essentially, if Valdez-Scantling catches that touchdown, we're not having this conversation. We're saying the Chiefs are the Chiefs. Mahomes is going to get it done when you need it. But listen, I've watched Marquez Valdez-Scantling for quite a few years in Green Bay. Get a little closer. He's not that good.
Oh, I think we all can see that. But Isaac in the building. What's up, Isaac? Appreciate you, dog. I'm gonna try to get Devonta for James Cook. If you could, I'd be doing
I like
that.
that.
Diaz, what up, Diaz? Think we're not giving Denver enough credit here. The defense is #1 over the last 4 weeks. Russell's playing like he has a shot collar on him. Whenever he gets trigger happy, Peyton zaps him. No, I mean, shout out to Denver. I mean, not taking anything away from Denver. We had talked about how good their defense was the past few weeks and how good Russ has been playing. So it wasn't crazy surprising.
No,
but
but Russ has played well.
Like we had it in the bag. Like, you know what I mean? So that's like, it just hurts.
Yeah, that game was there for the taking for sure. But listen, the Broncos have played much better, obviously defensively. You can't get any worse than giving up 70 points, but they have actually been really good. I know they played Mahomes, they turned him over. They've been getting turnovers the last 4 games, basically. I think they've had like 10, 11 takeaways in their last 4 games, something like that. So they've been really good turning the ball over. They beat the Bills, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Vikings. So they've beaten good teams. It's not like they're just cakewalking over, Carolinas and, Arizonas and teams like that. So they've gotten good wins against quality teams that, I'm sure Denver was the underdog in all 3 of those games.
Why sign Nuke when you have MVS? Exactly. Come on.
Nah. You know what this kind of reminds me of too? This reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, right? Like when the Packers started letting people go, now they always had kind of the next guy up. But the last season with Aaron Rodgers, they just threw anybody out there and said, "Hey, Aaron, go make them great," and he just couldn't do it. Like there's a certain level of continuity that you have to have with these receivers and being able to develop them and have them be, where you need them to be when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback. So, Travis Kelce, and let's not forget, Travis Kelce's 35. He's not 28. You know what I mean? So for him to have to shoulder virtually that entire pass game load is a lot to ask for a 35-year-old tight end.
For sure. They definitely need somebody on the outside. They have too many like slottish guys like Rice and Sky Moore. Like they're not good at playing on the outside.
I do like Rice though. Rice has played fairly well considering, but he's still young.
He's been in that slot. He plugged into the Juju slot role where, he's finding the soft spots in the zone defense, and then he's yards after the catch. Like they're just getting the ball in his hands and letting him him make moves. So they're using him at least, the right way. But yeah, I think somebody on the outside that can just take the defense away a little bit would be ideal. Watson, yeah, I mean, they re-signed everybody basically from last year. Watson, I think last year had like one of the highest drop rates. I mean, that's typical of him. But then he always makes like a good catch every once in a while too. So
he actually he did drop passes, Diaz, no doubt about it. Kelsey dropped some passes as well. Obviously, we highlighted the MVS drop. But Watson actually made, I believe it was a 3rd down pass, and it was on the left sideline, and he just dumped it in over him. So, listen, Watson is not, he's not a guy that if he drops a pass, you get upset. But I think it was the totality of the drops that highlighted it, especially with the MVS being a touchdown, and potentially game winner with, I think, under a minute to go.
Mm-hmm. Frank, what's cracking, Frank? Need to sit one. Bijan, Brees, Swift, or B-Rob?
I'm playing Bijan. I'm playing B-Rob. I think I'm playing Swift as well. It might be Brees Hall with Tim Boyle back there. That's going to be rough. Now, listen, Brees Hall is still a fantastic running back, but the state of that Jets offense, particularly that offensive line and the quarterback, is just horrendous right now, and they can't score. There's no opportunities. All the other 3 guys have opportunities. As much as we like to get on the Falcons in their situation, there's opportunities. There's scoring chances. Desmond Ridder back, by the way, QB1. So, but those teams, those teams at least have competent offenses. The Jets don't have a competent offense, and now they're going to Tim Boyle. So, it's pretty bad with the Jets. I think I'm sitting Brees Hall here.
Yeah, it's hard to almost not really. I mean, B-Rob's been good. It's been good. We'll go with Brees for now, but ask again later on. I think Dobbs is going to be found gold for a team like the Vikes. His football IQ is obvious. He has a drive to not just love to win, but more importantly, hate to lose.
Oh yeah, we already think he's found gold, to be honest with you. And I think the collection of talent is really good there as well. That helps him out. He's got, good talent at every single level. So I would agree with that statement. I think I agreed with that statement before he even got to the Vikings, the way he played with Arizona.
Yeah, that's true. Philip, what up, Philip? What is good? But yeah,
go Pack, go, baby. Big win. Let's not let that go unnoticed.
Oh, it's going unnoticed because it doesn't matter.
Because Jordan Love had 300 yards and no turnovers. He played well. The Packers should have lost that game because the Chargers just implode. Quentin Johnston had a wide open catch, wide open drop. Keenan Allen had wide open drops. But hey, listen, he capitalized. He led a late game. I talk about this shit every single week. The Packers are in 1-score games virtually every single week. And this was a situation where they came through for whatever it's worth, right? He didn't turn it over late in the game. And that's what I wanted to see over these last couple of games is with the game on the line, whether you're ahead or behind by 1 score, is Jordan Love going to turn it over? And he didn't, and he made the plays he needed to make. Jaden Reed is quickly becoming a go-to player. Like that, you said in the beginning, wide receiver 1. Romeo Dubes finding the end zone yet again.
He did.
That we're starting to see. Christian Watson did have a touchdown, but I think he only had a few targets. So no, wait, they had 3 touchdowns. Oh no, Jaden Reed had the rushing touchdown. So yeah, so Jaden Reed had the rushing touchdown. Dubes and Watson caught touchdowns. So yeah, so listen,
4 targets for Watson.
Right. How many catches? 2?
2 for 21 with the tutty.
Right. So Christian Watson, I actually traded Christian Watson in our home dynasty league. I just had enough of his bullshit. I have Jaden Reed on that team. So I'm like, yeah.
Did I miss that? Who'd you trade him for?
Najee Harris and something else.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I needed to fill that. My RB2 spot was just a black hole. But yeah, I kind of retooled my team a little bit. Got rid of Christian Watson. I was just done with him. Traded Dobbs, and then Burrow gets hurt. Crazy. But yeah, I like what I saw from the Pack. I don't know how much of that game you were able to catch, but I liked what I saw. I liked that he flung the ball around. He was efficient too. So, with his completion percentage, very, very efficient. So I really liked what I saw from Jordan Love and that offense as a whole. right? They moved the ball, they converted some third down. So I kind of like everything that was going on with the Packers. A big win too against a team that should have beat them, right? Austin Eckler didn't really go crazy. Keenan Allen really didn't go crazy. A couple of drops here and there, but Packers played well enough to win, and I'm pretty happy with it. This is just something like growth, what I'm talking about. So if they could continue to grow. Now they have a tough slate. They got the Lions on Thanksgiving, and then they got the Chiefs 10 days from that. So that's going to be tough sledding, but yeah.
Chargers
is a win, man.
Pretty ass too. So
no, it is ass. It is ass. No doubt about it. There's no denying that the Chargers defense is pretty bad. But listen, a win is a win against a team that has talent, right? So I've seen the Packers lose to Denver, which doesn't seem so bad right now. I've seen the Packers lose to Pittsburgh, which that looks like a bad loss the way Pittsburgh's playing. So I saw some growth, though. No turnovers. That's what I want to see from Jordan Love.
We got a skull from Diaz.
No, we don't. We're not. Diaz, come on, bro.
Let's go. Skull.
Diaz, we're not doing this, dude.
Watson will have one of those big games like last year. I mean, you would hope so. He's got to do more than just one of them. I mean, he hasn't shown really much so far this year. So
he's third in that pecking order.
Could that be due to like the injuries and them kind of just being comfortable already with some of the other guys? I mean, I don't know, but I like Jordan Reed. Isaac said he's banking on it. Frank said, "What's going on with Musgrave? I was thinking about picking him up for the bye week fill-in, but it looks like he's hurt."
Yeah, he did. He did sustain an injury. Let me just peek in on that really quick.
I think Kraft had a big play, didn't he?
I don't remember any tight ends doing anything of note. I didn't catch the entire game because I was.
Yeah, he had 2 for 32. Nothing crazy.
So Musgrave was in the hospital for an abdomen injury. He had 4 catches on 6 targets. The issue is pretty significant, LaFleur said. I don't think he's going to play. So I wouldn't have a ton of confidence in a guy like Kraft. I would kind of look elsewhere if I could. Just with the state of that offense, I can't really trust outside of Reed and Dubes. I can't really trust anybody. And Aaron Jones is virtually looks like he's going to be done for the rest of the season. They're saying it's week to week, but I don't believe that nonsense.
Yeah, they said it wasn't as bad as they thought. So
he's not playing Thursday. That's for sure.
But listen, he's one of those older guys where they were cautious for a while with him. Now what? Now what happens when he comes back? Like,
right. And I still don't trust AJ Dillon, but at this point, a lot of people are really desperate for running back. So I think he can be on the flex radar, maybe RB3-ish. So, make of that what you want. He's been better as of late, to be honest, but I think that's with Aaron Jones in the lineup, right? You prepare for Aaron Jones, so you get a little bit of AJ Dillon. And I think that, that makes AJ Dillon a little bit better, but I think that offense is playing a little bit better. So we'll see.
Yeah, Diaz says it was the Chargers.
Green Bay, you know what, Diaz? I'm done with Diaz. I've had your back. You do the skull, and then you say the Packers win wasn't a win. It was the Chargers. Hey,
listen, facts are facts, bro.
Oh, here we go. Take your facts and shove them.
Green Bay tight end is interesting because Detroit sucks against the tight end. Said Tucker Kraft sounds like a good DFS play. Yeah.
Maybe, but I the last time we played Detroit, it was kind of a washing, especially in that first half. So we'll see. We definitely will see.
Getting the Niners Seahawks on Thanksgiving, tied to the Cowboys. Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm eating some turducken and Boyle. That's true. Boyle did play. Did he?
He played for the Lions? Was it? I think he was playing the Lions.
He did play for the Lions. He did. Yeah, I saw one of those. I saw the replay on somewhere, and yeah, Eckler was looking slow as fuck.
I mean, that wasn't good for me. I mean, I got the win in our home league, but yeah, Eckler was disappointing, really disappointing against the Packers defense. That's not good. No, against the run. Najee Harris looked like Walter Payton a couple weeks ago, so that wasn't good. But Dallas is playing on Thanksgiving. They're playing the Commanders at 4:30.
Let's talk about
Seahawks
Najee for a second.
Who?
I said, let's talk about Najee for a second, since I guess we're on it. You know, they did name Jaylen Warren a starter at the running back position. But is it me, or did nothing change?
Like, no, this is virtually
Najee's still getting more rushes. It's still the same exact thing. They just announced that he's a starter, but the work is kind of still the same, no?
Yeah, this feels like a carbon copy of Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. Like, this is exactly what it feels like. Like, Najee Harris is that between the tackles guy, not very efficient, and Jaylen Warren is the Tony Pollard who gets 10 opportunities a game, and he's just explosive as fuck. Like, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I know people were going crazy about it, but I kind of wasn't. But I didn't know if anyone else kind of noticed that, because a lot of people were, really on it. But I was like, I don't know.
Yeah,
not that big of a deal. Yeah, Najee still had more snaps than Jaylen. Yeah, exactly. Hammer, I was rooting for Hurts to get one more huge play for you, bro.
I appreciate that, Diaz. And the interesting part with that was that Jalen Hurts was pretty ass the whole game. And then he ends up getting that late bomb to Devonta Smith, ends up getting that late rushing touchdown. And I'm right there. I think I was like 2 points away. And then he had a I think a 10-yard run. So I was 1 point away. And then they just didn't get the ball back. And then what's his name? Then they took a kneel on it. So that pretty much ended my night. But listen, I put up a good amount of points. My team was very competitive. That's just been my luck this year. A day late and a dollar short. But the team is good. I just have to, hope for a little bit better luck next year. And we'll see what happens. Can't hear you.
I said I got a trash trade in the inbox.
Let's hear it.
I'm a contending team. I'm in, I think, 4th right now. I think I'm in 4th, but it's basically tied for 2nd. Odell, Kareem Hunt, a 24th third and a 26th third for my Keenan Allen.
What exactly are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Now, I did have Burrow go down, so that hurts. I do have T. Higgins, but I've got a few veterans, so I'm covered at my position players. But at QB,
I'd still rather have Keenan Allen than any of those guys.
Oh, for sure. At QB, I got to roll with fucking David Carr or Jameis Winston, so that's the only shitty part. But we can still get it done. Tomlin said he does this to reward players when they're playing in their hometown or their families at the game. Yeah, I saw where it kind of said, yeah, he deserves it, blah blah blah. But
listen, Jaylen Warren's playing better than Najee Harris. Let's call it what it is.
Oh, for sure. But he's a different, he's a different player. Like you said, like we're not running Najee in open space like that. You know what I mean? Like we're trying to get Warren into the open space. Najee's kind of, eating away.
Is it me, or does it look like every time Najee runs the ball, there's nowhere to go, but when Jaylen runs the ball, there's just space everywhere? Maybe he's hitting the hole harder, like he's getting there quicker. Maybe he's reading the cut lanes better. It just looks completely different, and it's a damn shame if you got Najee. I actually bought back into Najee in our home Dynasty League, and because I needed, like I said, my RB2 spot was virtually a black hole, and I was trying to gear up for a nice playoff run. I actually won, so I'm 6-5, but Burrow goes down for me. But yeah, it's just Najee's just so disappointing because you think he could just be at least that steady guy. If he gives you 12 to 14 a game, he should be steady.
I think he's fine if that offense just plays better like they should. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he can make that.
Like, then he would be a fine kind of RB2. I mean, I think we can all say, okay, he's not that RB1 like he was, with Roethlisberger when he was getting all of the work. That upside is
like
gone.
100 targets a year.
Yeah, that upside is gone, obviously. But if he's banging in a bunch of tutties like Zeke was,
which that offense is just not getting enough scoring opportunities for him to even get those, goal line carries. How many times are they near the goal line? Very few and far between. Like, it's crazy. So
Isaac said David Carr. Whatever. David Carr, Derek Carr, whatever the fuck his name is.
I actually have a David Carr Houston Texans jersey. It was one of the first authentic football jerseys I ever bought. I spent like $250 on it. And I actually still have it. I used to play football in it. It's not completely trash, but it's it's one of those jerseys. I think I'm gonna frame it, just put it in my little man cave whenever that happens, with my FU Aaron Rodgers jersey.
Yeah, that was back in the day when we used to play tackle football every Sunday.
Oh yeah.
So and then wake up Monday mornings and can't move.
Yeah, I felt like you got hit by a car. So I live by a school, and there's actually right by the mall by my house, and we have there's a football field, a full 100-yard football field here. And sometimes I'll walk out on Sundays, walking the dog a little bit, and I'll see people out there, guys running around playing football and shit, and I just get a little nostalgic and just like, the good days. We used to play on the frozen tundra.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. The beach was fun though too. I gotta admit, playing in the sand was actually really.
I did like that. I did like that as well.
It was like slightly drizzling.
It was less of a toll on your body because the sand was soft, so you didn't really feel it as much as you did on that hard grass.
That's true. That is true. But yeah, I mean, let's take a look at. We'll start talking about this playoff push stuff here.
Do it.
But let me take a look at some of my squads. I'm somehow chugging along in the subscriber league. I don't fucking know how.
Because you're
fucking rolling.
You're a fraud. I have more points than you. You're a fraud. That's just the way it goes. So that lets me know that I've just had bad luck.
Listen,
and you're a fraud. You're a fraud.
It is what it is. I'm just rolling with it. That's why I don't want to spend. I'm not spending like right now. I don't really have much to spend anyway, so I'm just gonna roll into it. And listen, I just got to get in, and then may the gods taketh from there. But sucks with Chase because I think that was huge. But
yeah, I agree.
Listen, if Ridley can at least be halfway decent for the remaining games, and some of my other guys could kind of hopefully make up for it. I mean, Gus Edwards has been on a fucking tear. I mean, hey, what if JK never got hurt? I mean, he'd be beasting.
Yeah. It's always one of those things to look at. But listen, if you invested, you picked up Gus Edwards and you paid dividends for sure. But you could say that about a lot of guys. If this guy didn't get hurt, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was looking pretty for JK early on with the amount of work that he was getting. But obviously, his toothpick knees just couldn't handle it.
And that opens the door for a guy like Keaton Mitchell to kind of start emerging. And one of those guys we said to keep your eye on as a stash on your taxi squad. I have Keaton Mitchell in the I believe in the subscriber league, and I'm not ready. I'm not going to take him off the taxi squad because I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. But I think he'll definitely have a role in that offense next year as kind of that explosive Jaylen Warren kind of role. And if he can emerge into a Jaylen Warren kind of role, that's a fantastic, RB2 flex kind of guy with high upside, good trade value as well from the running back position. So, yeah,
for sure, good trade value. Yeah, so he's number 1 in points against. Yeah.
Hold on.
Am I bottom 3 in points for? Am I really? Is it that bad?
All right, so
1565. Oh, I'm right there with Hammer on points for though.
Yeah, I have more points than you, and I average more points per game than you.
No, I'm not bottom 3. Jackson, Louisville Slugger, Irish Massive. Listen, I win when it matters, baby. My guys come
here
to
we
play
go.
when it's time to play. All right.
Stop those shenanigans.
But I mean, hey, Russ has been good. Could that be? I don't know. I mean, I've had some big games from some guys, and fucking Ridley's been straight trash can. Straight trash. And now I got Mixon and Chase with no Burrow, so that's gonna.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's gonna hurt. And Godwin really ain't been shit either. So, but we get in and we roll with it.
Oh, it's brutal, Diaz. It's brutal, bro. But listen, like I said, I feel good about the composition of the team. I know I've been saying that like a broken record, but I really do. I feel good about the composition of the team. I've had some bad luck. People go off on me. Just like last night is the perfect example. I score 155 points. The guy scores 157. Like, what can you do at that point?
That's one of my competing ones. Another competing one with some Instagram pages. Another dynasty. 8-2, 9-2 in this one. Rolling. We got a good chance at this one. Where else are we? Home league, 6-5. I think I'm 5th, and I think you're 6th, right?
Yeah,
I think we pretty much. As long as we don't have a meltdown, I think I have like one of the most highest points for, so I'm pretty safe there.
I need to keep winning.
Yeah, obviously need to keep winning, but so rolling there. That's playoffs. Other one, 7-4. We are 4th place, but it's kind of like tied for second. All few teams that are 7-4 there, so we're rolling.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for me, man. It really has. It's been a struggle for the most part. The Burrow injury really hurt me in our home league, but I did get a win. In my league, it's just been a struggle all the way around. Obviously, we know what's going on in the subscriber league. And in your league, I was on a 3-game winning streak and Burrow got hurt as well. So it's garbage all around. I basically got 2 teams that can make the playoffs out of my 4. 1 team currently in the playoffs, another team, I believe, right on the outside looking in.
My redraft season has been actually really good this year. I've got all winning squads except for one where I lost Burrow. Fuck. And that's a 2 QB. That's your league, your home league, redraft league. But you still have a chance. I'm still just 1 game out. Like it's there's a bunch of teams that are like 5 and 6 and
that we're both 5 and 6 in that league. Yeah. But you're also a fraud in that league. You don't have that many. Well, no, not really.
Well, because I don't have Burrow now. I don't have Burrow. I have a pretty good squad. I just don't have Burrow now, and it's a 2 quarterback. So now I got Wack Jones.
Yeah.
And we don't even know what's happening there. So
Wack Jones, I love that.
Yeah, that one's gonna be rough, but overall, pretty good dynasty and fantasy seasons for me. Now we get to this point. We get to the playoff push. Crispy said rookie numbers. But yeah. Oh shit! Hold on.
You good?
Close my front door. Yeah, the wind is blowing the front door. Let me shut it real quick.
Deadline is this week. Yeah, Diaz, we got a similar situation where our trade deadline in our home league was this week as well. So we kind of dealing with that, and everybody was making trades pretty fast and furious. So it's tough, man. It's pushed the day before Watson went down for the season. Whoo. Yeah, I mean, if you're number one in points allowed, that's a little bit of a, that kind of makes you feel like you're doing something right, obviously, because you can't play, fantasy defense. So I think, how many games do we have? 3 games left. Starting Thursday. So yeah, I'm always going for the gusto. Even if I know that I'm not competing this year, I'm not a huge sell-off guy. Like, there's certain situations where I will, but I guess it just depends on how your team is constructed. You know what I mean? McCaffrey, especially a running back, see what's out there. I'm always one to say, see what's out there. I've had plenty of conversations with everybody in the subscriber league just to see what's out there. Engage in conversation. If somebody blows you away, a couple of first round picks plus for Christian McCaffrey, consider it. What?
Somebody blows you away.
We've said that before. Get out of here. Don't
play first round in the sub league as of right now, Stevie.
Yeah,
I've been watching, Marty. I've been watching too much. It is what it is.
Marty, I hope you take that fraud Steve down right now, Marty. Nope. I hope you score like 200 points. I'm rooting for you, Marty.
Thank you. Okay, first off, you got Tyreek Hill and you can't win, motherfucker.
Bro, I got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, Bijan Robinson, Chris Olave. Like, bro, it's been bad luck. I'm telling you, I've had really bad luck in that league. It's bullshit. Telling you, my team, I'm gonna be good. My team's gonna be good next year, so watch out.
Marty said, "Hell yeah."
I got you, Marty.
We'll get on that train, Marty. Listen,
Marty,
us Vikings fan, we got to stick together, bro.
Marty, hit me up in the inbox. Maybe we can make a deal. You're interested in Cheetah? Might have something for you.
Wow, this fucking guy. This fucking guy.
So check this out. I got a sick parlay going NBA, right? I have a 12-leg parlay in NBA. I hit the first 8. I need Devin Booker to get 5 more points. And then I have the rest of the Laker game. This has a really good chance of hitting. Oh, my God. I just need Portland to keep it close. Devin Booker could get 5 points.
You and your parlays.
Oh, no. All right. That's not bad. Only 12. Come on with it.
Got a drop. RB Chuba is gone. Yeah, Miles Sanders got some more work. I don't know. Is he out of the doghouse now? I mean,
did he? I wasn't even paying attention to Miles Sanders. Let's see.
Yeah.
What is going on with Sleeper? It's like being...
He wound up scoring some points on
11.
Nobody played him. 11 carries. Nothing crazy, but he was more involved, and he looked actually better.
4.5 a clip is pretty good. Still only playing 46% of the snaps, which for a guy they gave a 4-year deal, I think it was $24 million. I believe 18 of that is guaranteed.
Can he get the first and second down work at least?
You would hope at least he would give you some value. He would give you some RB3 value, but it's just been putrid. Listen, I'd rather play exactly what Isaac said in the next one. Like, I'd rather play Sharps on a weekly basis than Miles Sanders at this point.
Oh, for sure.
Bump that. Mm-hmm. Khalil Herbert, I'd take a shot at. Now, the thing I worry about with the Bears is that Justin Fields is essentially their RB1. So I don't know how much left. I don't know how much there will be left for a guy like Khalil Herbert. I think he'll be involved somehow, but I think they found a little bit of a formula where they, Justin Fields throws it 22 times and he runs it another 12. He's getting like 10 yards. He's getting like 10 yards a carry.
Listen, the hoarding RB strategy is pretty much out now. Like people are starting to realize, to roster a lot of these running backs that are on any roster pretty much now. People are starting to do it. So, it's going to be, I think, a little bit harder this offseason going into next season to roster a ton of these RBs because I think a lot of people are going to be starting to do it because it's already started. So, I think that little edge is coming to an end where people are starting to pull onto that. Devin Booker hits take the cash out.
So it's the fourth quarter, and I had Kevin Durant for 25. He scored 26. I had Jeremy Grant score 20. He scored 23. Devin Booker, I need 25. He has 20. So if Devin Booker hits, the first 9 legs are done. I have LeBron James for 20. He has 7 in the middle of the second quarter. I have Anthony Davis for 20. He has 15 already. And I have Lauri Markkanen for 20. He has 5. So I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good that this will hit $10, 400 payout.
All right, let's get into some of this playoff push talk because it's time. Now, the time is here, right? We're in the playoff push, and now things are getting tight, right? Trade deadlines are maybe coming up, may have came up already for your league, or there may not be any in your particular league. But you are either at the top, you're in the middle, or you're at the bottom. Where are you? What should you be doing right now, basically, in these weeks? What are some things that you should be looking to do depending where you are? So we're going to take a look at that from every aspect, from contenders to middle of the pack to non-contenders, kind of what we could be looking to do. What are some maybe moves that we can make, some buys that we could be looking for, or some sells, of course, that we could be looking to make as well. So let's talk about it in the eyes of a contender. Right. So if I'm a contender, I'm top
4 in a 12-man.
4-ish, I guess. I'm pretty much going to make the playoffs. I know that. I got a pretty good squad. What's something I should be trying to do right now if I'm a contender at this point in time?
I think, and we talked about this in a couple of different shows, where there are guys like Stephon Diggs, right? He's had a couple of, dud games, but we know Stephon Diggs is that dude, especially when it gets colder outside, especially in these these late season games. So Stephon Diggs is a guy I'm looking at. Devontae Adams is a guy I'm looking at. If you're going for the gusto, maybe a buy low on Jamar Chase without Joe Burrow for the rest of the season. I think Jamar Chase still has some value, but a lot of people might be scared off by Joe Burrow being out for the rest of the season. So Diggs, Adams, Burrow are a couple of guys that I like that can be available. Chase to a lesser degree just because he's so young. And people may have that stack. Like I have the Burrow Chase stack, and I'm not partnering with Jamar Chase. That's the foundation of my team. But some teams might. So inquire about those kind of guys, and that can definitely help you make a push. I really like a buy low, or not a buy low, but I really like a kind of buy medium on Diggs, where he's had a couple of these dud games and people are getting frustrated. Josh Allen, he looked good against the Jets, but Josh Allen's had a rough go of it for the most part of this season. So I like a guy like Diggs and Devontae Adams as kind of buy medium candidates. Big names, but maybe not quite the value that they used to have.
Yeah, I think, for sure, one of the first things that I'm probably looking at is looking at my team, right? What kind of holes do I have, or what can I look to improve on going into this playoff push, going into the playoffs? So, I'm looking at my team. Okay, what do I need? Then I'm looking at some of the teams on the bottom, right? What older players do they have that maybe I can buy for cheap, right? What guys might they want to get off of their team that I can maybe throw a couple picks at, and that can help my team, whether it's a couple backup running backs, maybe, whether it is some older players like you mentioned. Is there a Diggs on one of those bottom teams? Is there a Devontae Adams on one of those bottom teams? Is there a Mike Evans on one of those bottom teams, right? We talked about Mike Evans. I don't know I think that was last week But yeah, we talked about Mike Evans last week, and I posted the little clip we had of Mike Evans and kind of what he cost. And in one of my dynasty leagues, what do you know? That price is in my inbox. I'm a contending team. The guy says, "Give me 2 seconds and Tank Bigsby for Mike Evans." Boom! I hit smash, so I get Mike Evans.
Woof, for Tank Bigsby. Damn, that's 8 to 10.
Tank Bigsby in 2 seconds.
Okay,
So I'm
that
like,
makes more
okay.
sense.
So I'm like, okay, give me Mike Evans. So, it's deals like that where now you need to try and buy some of these older players if they're on any of those bottom teams. So that's one of the first things I'm doing is kind of looking what I need and looking at some of those bottom teams. What can I buy from those teams? So now I can pretty much be done with that part and rule out at least that part of kind of what I'm looking to do here.
Would you be buying? Now, we talked about wide receivers, obviously, because their shelf life's a lot longer. Even veterans like Mike Evans is still going to be around for a couple of years. Diggs, obviously, a couple of years. Devontae Adams. If you're a contender, are you buying the Austin Ecklers, the Derrick Henrys, the guys like that, the Saquon Barkleys? Like, are you still trying to inquire about those guys as well?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, some of the bottom teams already knew they were going to be at the bottom and have sold off those players to contending teams right now. So if they're on contending teams, you're not getting them. So that's why, I said the most important thing you got to do is look at some of those bottom teams that are not going to make it and see what older players are still left that you can buy. Because otherwise, most of those players are going to be on some of those contending teams already. Right. So I'd be looking at that. Of course, you're looking at the schedule. Are you automatically definitely in? Or is there still a chance that you're not in, right? What are some of the next couple weeks that you're playing? What are some of the holes that you're going to have? Which kind of goes into what I talked about before with the bottoming teams, looking at what holes you have, on your squad. But there's some bye weeks that are coming up. Then these are some important games. So are you going to have some holes at wide receiver or running back that you maybe can go throw a third or a fourth and go get, some of these cheap running backs? Just to kind of fill a hole, or wide receivers, right? Depending.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm definitely looking at that. So those are some of the things I'm looking to do as contenders. And I mean, you mentioned buying Chase. I know as a contender, I mean, obviously Chase isn't going to crazily help you right now, but it's always going to be important to actually, make an inquiry, right? I mean, we talked about last week, or we talk about all the time, finding the right pockets to make certain deals for players, right? And now is the time to try and buy the Chases, the T. Higgins, the Joe Burrows. Now that they're hurt, they are available.
Yep.
So, and we'll talk about that more as non-contenders because that's going to be a focus point on the non-contender teams. But yeah, those are the things I'd be looking at for contenders, I think. Is there anything else you think you need to add that you want to add to that? Any kind of tips or ideas for contenders right now at this point that maybe I didn't hit?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much touched on it. Obviously, the key is looking at those teams that are in the bottom four, essentially, right? Because you got the top four, the bottom four, and then you got the middle four, essentially. So you want to target those bottom four teams and just open up the dialogue. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna, a deal's gonna get done, but you want to open up the dialogue because hell, maybe somebody is just sitting there, or maybe somebody's not as active, whatever the case may be, but they may be interested in unloading some of their guys. They may be watching our show and be like, hey, yeah, maybe it's a good idea for me to get, a first plus for, an Eckler at this point. So, whatever the case may be, depending on the format of the league. So open up the dialogue, right? You might be able to go back and forth, and fuck it. If you can get something that's going to help you go for the gusto, open the dialogue. I guess that's one of the key things that I like to do as well. Be open to the dialogue as well.
Yeah, and I mentioned before, I was able to buy Mike Evans on a contending team, and I was able to buy him because I had some assets that I can spend. I had, 2 second-round picks that I can spend to go and get him. So, don't go and just think that, only first-round picks matter and you don't care about the other picks. Like, this is why, making trades and gathering picks, they're important for the contending teams because you can buy some of these older players, or you can buy some of these fill-in one-year players just to start for this season, and that can help you, push you to a championship. So it's important to have some draft capital that you're able to spend so that you can make moves when you need to, because injuries happen all the time. I mean, how many injuries did we have this year? We've seen a ton to not only running backs, but wide receivers and to quarterbacks. I mean, quarterbacks are getting hurt like at a running back rate this year. It's crazy what's been happening so far. So
who thought Josh Dobbs would be a hot commodity? Who thought Josh Dobbs would be a hot commodity when we did our drafts?
Exactly. Yeah, Diaz. Endo hits hard, brother.
Sitting low.
Oh yeah. So Marty says he's been trying to get off of Evans in a rebuild team. No one has sent an offer. Decent trading action in the league, usually. Well, I mean, you can't just expect somebody to send an offer. You got to be sending out offers too. I mean, you want to get rid of him as a non-contender. Send some stuff out there.
Yep.
If you can get 2 seconds, if you can get a second plus, send it out there. Who needs a wide receiver? Who's on some of these winning teams that can spare those assets, And if you really honestly can't get rid of him, then you hold him maybe for next season. I mean, he will be going to another team next season. He didn't get re-signed. He said he was going to go somewhere else, so he's going to have a choice of where he wants to go. That could be valuable. Maybe you have a chance to move him next year at some point. But
dude, imagine he ends up in Kansas City. Oof.
Yeah, I can't imagine though with the production that he's given you that you can't get at least a second plus for him. So you gotta send out some trades. You gotta attack a little right now. You gotta go on offense.
Yep. I agree.
You gotta go on offense. Kevin in the building. What it do, Kev? What it do? All right, Hammer. Anything else on contenders, real quick?
Nah, we straight. Just open up the dot and be willing to negotiate, right? Be willing to, just because the first deal gets rejected, be willing to counter, be willing to, go back and forth to try and secure your playoff push. Devin Booker needs 1 point, dude. There's 7 minutes left. This is crazy.
Is it a close game at least? Is he gonna get it? Like, he's not gonna get pulled, right?
No, 7.5 minutes left. Phoenix up by 12. And it's back and forth. So I think he'll come back in. He needs 1 point. I got him at 25
not in right
plus. Now? No, he was in for much of the fourth quarter to begin. I think he'll get back in a little bit if it becomes a single digit game.
Picking Dobbs up as Deshaun Watson handcuff and some best balls. There you go. All right, the middle of the pack teams. Let's talk about when you're in the middle of the pack, because you're kind of in a weird spot. Are you going to make the playoffs? Are you not going to make the playoffs? Do you decide you want to go make that push? Do you decide that, okay, I'm not going to? I don't think I've got a good chance here. So, if one of the first things, of course, you're looking at is your schedule, right? What are your next couple weeks like? What are the bye weeks like for you? What are the other teams that you're playing look like? Do you have a realistic shot, do you think, of actually making it? Because you got to decide. And it's a weird place to be in, and it's a place that as non-contenders we try to take advantage of. Because like I just bought Chase in a league and I'm a non-contender and I was able to buy Chase.
You're setting yourself up for the future.
From a team that was middle of the pack and couldn't decide which way they wanted to go and decided they just wanted to go all out and they wanted the points. So I gave them, points for right now, and I was able to secure Chase. And I feel like I was able to steal him. It's almost like one of those mindfuck situations where like you want to win now, so you're willing to give up one of those pieces, right? I gave up Garrett Wilson earlier in the season because I had JJ go down and I felt kind of stuck and I decided to just go all out. So I gave him up. So right now there's chances where you can pick up some of these guys. Joe Burrow just went down. That team probably needs a quarterback, right? Can you give up a quarterback and some assets to go get Joe Burrow? Because that team wants to go win right now. So you're able to take advantage of some of these situations of some of these middle of the pack teams when you're looking at it from the other sides. Now, when you are that middle of the pack team, right? We talked about the schedule, what you have to decide if you're going all in or not. But same thing like contenders, right? We're scanning the bottom teams. We're seeing if there's any kind of veterans that we can buy that can kind of give us a little more confidence that we are going to set ourselves up at least to make the playoffs and be contenders, right? So same kind of thing. You're looking for any of those older players. You're looking for the gaps in your lineup as well. Like it's important right now to look forward a little bit, look at the gaps. It's a very much more important than it ever was before because now with the new schedules, there's guys that are out week 13, week 14. Like it's nuts.
That's a killer. Yep. When you really need it.
Mhm.
So one
It's
of the
crazy.
things that I take a look at as well, independent of your record, is your points for, right? And your points against. Like if you're a middle of the pack team and you have a ton of points for, but not and a ton of points against, then you can feel confident that, hey, listen, my team is scoring points and that I have a shot to win on a week to week basis, right? If you're, 5-6 or 6-5 right now, look at your points for and your points against, because that kind of gives you the barometer, a little bit of a better barometer than your actual record, right? Am I scoring 150 and my opponents are scoring 160? Okay. If I'm scoring, at a good clip, then I should be able to give myself a chance to win. And the flip side of that coin is if you're, a bottom four in the league in scoring, right? And you're 5-6, then you're like, damn, maybe I've had some good fortune to get these wins. I'm probably a little fraudulent, and I think Marty had brought that up in some of the comments. If you're fraudulent, you have to be real with yourself. I think that's something that's important as well. And Marty had brought it up in the chat, so that's a really good point in terms of you have to look at your points for and your points against to kind of gauge, especially if you're middle of the pack. I think that's the best barometer to decide what you want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And, my situation in that league where I am kind of fraudulent, but at the same time, when you're looking at the
Kind of
points, when you're
fraudulent.
looking at the points for, you're also looking at obviously the records. So the teams that are after like 5-6, I still have a jump on.
Mm-hmm.
So so I'm not crazily worried to the fact where, I might want to start selling off players. I still think I have a good chance to make the playoffs based on not only the points for, but the records in that particular league right now.
Well,
I
that's
have
your situation's a little bit different because you're 7-4. Your situation would look a lot different if you were 5-6.
no, for sure, for sure, for sure. But that's what I'm saying as I'm kind of one of those middle of the pack teams, but because I'm looking at the record and what the other teams are after, 1 through 6, where it seems like I still have a great chance to make it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's a little bit easier for me where I know, okay, I'm pretty much all in at this point.
Yep.
I don't need to back away where, like you said, a team that was more middle of the pack that is floating around that, that 5, 6, 7 spot and the standings are kind of tight. Like, do you really have that realistic chance? Are you up there in points for where, if you've got the same record, are you still going to get knocked out
Mhm.
anyway? Right.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. And
as
also
far as
too,
go ahead.
like if you're 5-6 and you have Austin Eckler, right? That's when you want to start to, take the advantage of the trade deadline. I think that's another factor as well because in our home dynasty league, we had a bunch of shaking and moving this weekend, early in the week. I believe Friday, Saturday, there was a lot of shaking and moving because the trade deadline was, I believe, last night after the Monday night game. So take advantage of that trade deadline as well, where people are kind of, in a little bit of a frenzy to make their last minute deals. And I think that's also important as well, where there's a sense of urgency to kind of get something done. So you might be able to use that as a little bit of leverage as well.
Yeah. For sure. So yeah, if you are on that fringe middle pack, make the decision. Are you going to go all out? Are there some players to buy? Or if there are no players to buy, and you're not comfortable with that position, are you now going to start selling off some of your players? Do you have some veteran guys maybe that you can get some assets for and sell them to some contending teams? Right? So if you are going to be selling off some of these older players, make sure you're getting some picks, make sure you're getting some of these young players. And just like the non-contenders, you're going after some of these hurt players, right? It's always important to go after some of these guys that are on IR, some of these guys that are injured, guys that you can get a little bit cheaper than normal, or guys that are just somehow available just because they're injured. So, anything else on the middle of the pack, Hammer?
No, I think one thing we said that was super, super important is, be honest with yourself. And for me, I probably should take that advice a little bit because I'm always looking to acquire, especially in Dynasty for the future. Even though I wasn't a contender, I went out and got Bijan Robinson. I gave up my first round pick, which currently sits at the 103, I believe. And I'm still okay with that because I'm setting myself up, for next season with the parts in place. So everything is situational, but, definitely be honest with yourself, I guess, is some good advice.
Show.
Oh, come on. They need to put Devin Booker back in. It's an 11-point game with 4.5
Emil, what's up,
minutes.
Emil? Trying to trade away Christian Kirk. Who y'all think I can get for him?
That's a little tough.
It's probably worth about a second, right? Maybe a second plus, depending.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're getting a first for Christian Kirk. Depending on the format, obviously. But in our normal formats, I think most of us play here are the Superflex Start 10. So I would say he's worth probably around a second, maybe a second plus.
Okay. I would be comfortable with trading, getting a second plus for Christian Kirk, to be honest with you. Like that would be something I feel good about.
Can you get a Josh Downs?
Jaden Reed?
Maybe not a Josh Downs and a second. Maybe you just get Josh Downs and a third. Depending what that guy wants to spend. Can you get a Jaden Reed? I mean, would you do?
Say that again.
Would you do that straight up?
Jaden Reed for Christian Kirk?
Yeah.
I think I might.
Yeah.
I like Jaden Reed. The thing I like
you're not going to get it. I don't think you're getting a pick on top of it because he's producing. Like, same thing with kind of Downs. So
I think you might be right. But the thing I like about Jaden Reed is first of all, he's incredibly dynamic. And they get the ball to him in a number of ways. So I like his versatility, particularly with that kind of emerging Packers op, and he's heavily involved. So yeah, I wouldn't mind coming off of Christian Kirk for Jaden Reed, who could do a little bit of everything. Devin Booker closes it out. Let's go, boys. Devin Booker closes it out. Here we go. Now we just need LeBron, AD. We got 9 out of 12 legs down. We got 3 legs to go. Mm-hmm. They're not even offering me a cash out. That's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, Emil, I'd be looking at a contending team and, trying to get some young guys or some picks out of them.
Mm-hmm.
What's the team situation, or even some of these middle of the pack teams, they might, we just kind of talked about that now. They could be willing they could be willing to give you a really good deal for some points right now, like if they're desperate. So, you're able to snag away some guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Let me
What's
just
the
take a
parlay
look at
gonna hit for, Hammer?
$10, $10, 400 payout. I reduced some of the points for some of the guys because it was a little higher than I liked, but $10, 12 legs, NBA scoring. I hit the first 9, 400 payout. I got 3 legs left. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Lauri Markkanen.
You can be lucky to be middle of the pack or bad luck to end up in the middle. Got to be real with yourself if you're fraudulent or not. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure. When Dylan said, I thought I would actually trade on this stretch, but I missed the trade. Oh, you missed the trade deadline. I'm screwed. Next week, bye week will be wild. All the injuries. Ooh. Yeah.
It's tough.
Can't be
always
missing
tough. That. I think in Sleeper, I like Sleeper because it tells you, like when you open up the app, it gives you like it in red letters, like trade deadline approaching. I'm not sure, Wendell, if you're using Sleeper, but Sleeper gives you that kind of when it's in the last week, it lets you know that the trade deadline's approaching. So I like that.
Salute, appreciate you, brother. Diaz said traded Kirk in a third for Jameson Williams and a second.
I'm
okay
mad
with
at
it.
that.
I'm
Yeah, I'm
okay
not
with
mad
it.
at that.
Get a second, and JMO. I don't know what to think of JMO. I don't know.
He's hit him. He's boom or bust, man. And I think JMO will be a little bit better next year just because he's been in and out of the lineup, a little inconsistent. But listen, the fact that they have St. Brown, Hawkinson, and Gibbs with Monty, like there's just not enough left on the bone. And Laporta. My bad. Whoa, settle down. Laporta, yes. You get my drift. A good tight end. My boy Laporta, yes. I think there's not enough left on the bone for him. You know what I mean? After those guys. So it's tough, but he will be a boom or bust kind of guy. Jared Goff can throw the ball down the field with some good regularity. So I think he'll be one of those boom or bust type guys.
I think we knew coming in. I mean, that was one of the things I was skeptical of with JMO was, when he comes in, is he just one of those burners that can just burn by everybody because he's not really much of one of those, route technicians. So he's a different kind of wide receiver where more like, he's better for his team in the NFL than he is like fantasy wise,
Yeah, I agree.
So,
he fits
like
what
you
they
said,
need.
He's one of those boomer busts. He can spread the field. That's great, but it's going to be boomer bust. I'll take it though. Some people still really do like JMO.
I tried to
what
pick
up,
up
Catch? John in the building. Hammer and his parlays. Yeah, Hammer's always got some parlays, man.
Yeah, I'm always cooking something up. It's funny because Bagala and I, especially on these primetime games like Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, him and I always cooking up some crazy parlay. And my brother-in-law, him and I always cooking up crazy shit. He's got me into hockey, betting hockey now and NBA, crap. So yeah, I'm on it.
Need y'all to make the videos for it, you fuckers. Let everybody know.
Sometimes we just cook it up last minute.
Yeah, and you could post a video last minute. God damn it. Yeah, Dylan said he missed that deadline. Yeah, that's rough. You got to know when that deadline is, man, and you got to, because that's one of the most important things to know is when that deadline is.
Yep.
So that's rough, man. That's rough. Ford and Kyron on the block in the sub league. Okay, Stevie, you of all people absolutely need these points.
Oh, here he goes.
You sent me.
Here goes Diaz.
Well, if I'm getting both of those, all right, maybe we can talk about both of those. Maybe we can talk about both of those.
Diaz
my running backs be decent though. I just got my running backs be all right right now. I could still use them, but Dylan said smoking something swole on this one. Super pause.
Clip it. We got him. You know what's funny about that video? I showed it to almost everybody because it's absolute gold. I probably watched that video like 50 times just because it was so genuine and I didn't realize it until it was too late. That's a beautiful video. If you haven't seen it, go check out our Instagram. We got a video of me getting just absolutely shredded on a question. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to get clipped again, but go check it out on Insta.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It might be in the shorts. I don't know if it was a short or not. So it might be on YouTube. It might be in the shorts. Yeah, so all I need is a bump in value to trade JMO. I know there's a truther out there somewhere. Yeah, I mean, all you need is one big game, a big catch, and you can probably get another second for him at least. I mean, but yeah, it's been rough for JMO. It's been rough for JMO. All right, non-contenders. We're not contending, Hammer. We're at the bottom of the pack, which I am in a few leagues. And one of the things that I've been doing not even just lately, but most of the season, is just kind of scouring the damn waiver wire, just picking up anybody that I can pick up so that I can trade for draft picks, right? I've got a bunch of thirds and fourths in most of my leagues that I'm not competing in, right? Which is really important, right? So what are we doing first? Again, we're taking a look at our team. We're seeing what we have. What are pieces that are not going to matter next year? And what are pieces that can possibly gain some value into next year? Are there some pieces maybe that we're not going to move? Right? So find the pieces that maybe that you do want to move, or that are scoring some points right now that could be valuable to some of these contending teams or middle of the pack teams, because this now is the home stretch where you've got to take advantage and try and get whatever you can get out of some of these guys, because you know that next year they're not going to have much value or they're going to lose value. So you need to get them all for your squad. They're going to be helping somebody else. So you need to help yourself, get some assets, or get some draft picks. So that's the first thing, of course, that I'm looking to do as a non-contender right now. What else do you think are we trying to do, Hammer, as a non-contender? What's another good thing we're looking at?
Well, one of the things you always talk about, especially when we were doing a bunch of the roster reviews, was the running backs. I don't know if you touched on that kind of in depth, but those running backs, right, that they just don't hold value, especially those older running backs that are scoring some points, right? So you want to be able to get those older running backs off your team, the Derrick Henrys, right, the Austin Ecklers if possible, Aaron Jones when he was, doing okay, maybe even last year. This year's not a good example. So cash in on that, right? Maybe a Raheem Mostert, right? That's a perfect. If you're a non-contender and you have Raheem Mostert on your team, you should be looking to move him like ASAP. And looking to acquire assets. I know you always kind of use the phrase tear down, and I think that would be appropriate for this conversation, where you can split a Raheem Mostert into 2 assets, right? That's kind of what you want to do, and I think that should be where you start. Open up the conversation, utilize the trade block, right? Engage people in conversations, engage some of those top teams that are willing to give up 2 assets for a guy that might be able to take them over the top. So kind of the flip side of what we were talking about with the contenders. If you're a non-contender, the older guys who are scoring points, those teams at the top, or maybe even some of those middle of the pack teams, can use them as well. So those are all things to kind of keep in mind.
Yeah, I'm looking for all the hurt players. I'm looking for all the players that are on IR on all the teams. And I'm looking to try and make deals, right? We talked about it earlier, going after the Joe Burrows, going after the Jamar Chases, the T. Higgins, guys that are losing value right now that could be on teams that need points right now. So do you have some points on your team that you can give up and possibly get some of those guys, or do you have the assets? So like I said, I was able to get Chase. Can you go out there and get a Chase right now? Do you have some assets that you can give up to go get a Chase, to go get a Joe Burrow? I mean, in super flex leagues, like that team that had Joe Burrow could have been competing, right? If they're competing now, they're vulnerable if they didn't have a good backup, right?
Yeah.
Do you have that guy on your team? Were you not contending? Do you have Kyler on your squad, right? Can you somehow save yourself and turn that Kyler Murray into Joe Burrow? Can you be that outlet for that team? Obviously it's going to cost you more than just Kyler, probably a first, maybe a first plus on top of it, depending. But can you snake away a Joe Burrow?
Yep, absolutely. And I think another really interesting tip is target teams that have like their favorite team. I think that's something to use to your advantage as well, just to increase the value a little bit, right? Hey, this guy just came off a big game, blah blah blah. He's the number 2 receiver on a really good offense. Talk up the players if you need to kind of get the conversation moving, right? Do some research on the player, right? Talk him up. That's all part of it. And we did a video on kind of the art of trading. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because this definitely applies to that, where there's so many factors that go into trading that you can use to your advantage, no matter where you are. If you're a contender, middle of the pack, or non-contender, these are all different tools, at your disposal to get the maximum value depending on where you are.
I agree. 100%. We've got to try and take advantage, right? If you're not contending, you shouldn't have some of these older guys on your team right now, right? You should be trying to get to the bottom, as much to the bottom as you can get right now, because you want the best possible pick. And don't worry if selling all your players means that you have 3, 4, 5, 6 second, third, fourth round picks, and you might not have the roster space for that. But we're not worried about that right now. We want just that asset that you can use. So now when you get into the offseason, when we get into the rookie drafts, we can use those picks to move up, right? We can use those picks to turn them into next year picks, right? I mean, how many times can even I have, and I've actually spent it before, years ago. I won't do it anymore. But, how many times do you have a third round pick in the draft, or a bunch of third round picks, and somebody wants to try and move up to get that third round pick, right? Okay, throw me a next year second. Boom. Now you moved up around and you got the next year second. People are willing to do that to move up for players that they like, because everybody's in that rookie fever. So you can be able to move up and move down with those draft picks, or you can even buy some players with those picks. Right. So pick up as many assets as you can. Anybody that's not going to have value going into the off season, going into next year, you don't want them on your team. Just turn them into a liquid asset, we call it, right? Just turn it into something liquid that now you can use, and that's going to gain value as we get into the off season, towards the draft.
I think something I've noticed playing Dynasty going into the fourth year is having those draft picks may not seem valuable right now, but by the time we roll into March and early April, those things are going to be worth their weight in gold, honestly, right? Because everybody's trying to position, like you said, the hot rookies are coming out, second round picks, sleepers, steals, all that stuff. So all those picks that you accumulate by selling off the Austin Ecklers, the Derrick Henrys, the Devontae Adams, guys like that we're talking about. If you got, 2 or 3 first round picks, 3 seconds, 2 or 3 thirds, you can virtually turn that into whatever you want for the most part. Because those picks, just as we get closer to the NFL draft and we see where these players are going and we see what offenses they're going to be in, especially in my experience, those draft picks really become a hot commodity, especially in that late March, early April time of the year.
Yeah, and now, you have to think about it. Now more than ever, those late round picks mean a lot more than they did in the past, because now people are starting to realize that the picks matter. But not only that, we know realistically that those second, those third, those fourth round picks, the very low percentage to hit. Right. But now we've seen this year guys like Puka, guys like Tank Dell, guys like Josh Downs, guys like Jaden Reed that were going mid-second, late second, third round, fourth round picks, where people are going to want to spend up now on those picks if there's a player that they really like, because they're going to think that guy is going to do what some of these other guys do. They're going to be that next guy, and you are going to miss the majority of the time. So don't think that you're going to pick that guy every time in those rounds. It's not going to happen. The hit rate is extremely low. But now that we've seen it happen a few times, we have these outliers. People are going to really start liking those picks, and they're going to be really wanting to spend up more to get those picks. And you can take advantage at that time when the draft comes, because that is when people are really willing to spend, and they think they know everything, and that's the time. So
yeah, for sure. And you make that known, right? Be like, yo, you want the next Jaden Reed? Yo, you want the next Tank Dell? That's how you have to do it. And I think what you said is so important, is doing your homework, right? Doing a little bit of research, kind of going out there, seeing what's happening, reading the landscape of the NFL. Now, I will say, I do think that the way the NFL is going, obviously with passing and all the rules geared toward offense, I think you will start to see a little higher hit rate on some of these second and third round picks. Now, you're 100% right that it's a very low hit percentage to begin with, but I think we're starting to see a trend where a lot of these guys, especially on offenses that are pretty decent or could be pretty decent. Like, I don't think anybody thought Tank Dell was going to be this prolific in his rookie year. You know, a guy like Jaden Reed too, very undervalued, second round draft pick, late second round, I believe. You know, goes to a team with a young quarterback, and I think he's outproducing what his draft value was. So that's why I think that, like you said, that's super valuable in terms of being able to talk it up, right? Have that conversation, let people know, put it out there for everybody to see. Damn, Lakers are killing the Jazz.
For sure.
Jesus.
2 questions. All right, Stafford, Fields, or Murray? What the fuck should I do with Chase, Diggs, other starter? I have DeMario, Flowers, and Kirk. I have B-Rob, but not this week. So keep Chase as a starter. Stafford, Fields, or Murray? You going Fields or Murray?
It's definitely not Stafford, obviously.
Yeah. No.
I think it might be Kyler, just because he has the contract. We don't know what Justin Fields' kind of situation is going to be. You think he's going to get another opportunity? I already know Kyler is going to be the starter somewhere. There's a little bit more questions around Justin Fields. So for all of those reasons, give me Kyler Murray here, just because his contract tells me that he's going to be a secure starter wherever he goes. Justin Fields, he may or may not be, depending on, you know, what the rest of this season looks like. Or if he gets hurt again, right? That could really drop his stock if he goes out there and runs and gets hurt again. So give me Kyler Murray here.
Yeah, for sure. If we're talking Dynasty, it's absolutely going to be Kyler Murray. Dylan, let us know if we're not talking Dynasty here. But what should you do with Chase is, I mean, in Dynasty, I'm not gonna give him up.
I think
unless I could get a JJ or something like that. Like, I mean, unless you're getting a prolific guy like that, a CD, maybe you can make a move like that if you wanted to. But
what if somebody offered you Waddle and a first? Call it a Waddle and a 104 for Chase. Super flex.
Taking Chase.
I'm just trying to see where the line of demarcation is for this particular, you know, like that's always how we look at it. You know, we kind of set that bar and say, all right, if you're giving me JSN and the 104.
JSN and the 104 for Jamar Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Well, sounds like a Jamar Chase.
Okay. I'm just throwing it out there. I know JSN's your boy, so.
Yeah, but I'm still, yeah. I mean, when you can get a guy like Chase, I mean, there's not many guys with that kind of upside.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But you got Flowers, you got Kirk. I mean, you might as well just call it in. I don't think you're winning.
Yeah, and there's nothing he can do with Chase.
B-Rob.
Like, you just have to ride it out at this point.
Try and compete again next year, I guess, but.
God damn it.
Yeah, man. Dylan said we're thinking the same wavelength. How effective do y'all perceive Kyron will be coming back? Henderson been ass.
They just released him.
Mm-hmm.
They released Darrell Henderson, so Kyron's gonna get the lion's share of the carries as he was doing in the.
We need you, and now we don't need you.
Right. Basically, kick rocks. Yeah, Kyron's gonna get the lion's share just like he did in the first half of the season, and he'll be productive. I would slot him in my RB spot if I could, and that's pretty much that. You know, Henderson's he's gone.
As long as he's getting those tutties,
the volume, yeah, for sure, for show. Oh my God.
I was going to get Adams with addressing their needs and minds, but I mean, if you got to rely on DeMario, Flowers, and Kirk, I mean, how many starters is it? I mean, those are only a few guys. Like, and what place are you in? Like, are you really actually competing, or are you one of those middle of the pack? Like, you're not sure which way to go right now. I mean, I don't know how good the other teams are, but
yeah, you always have to
had
view it from
Tank
that
and
perspective.
traded for Kirk last week. Oh my god!
No,
Come
that's not good.
on, come on, Dylan. Shit. He bloomed and I sold hot because T-Law and Kirk was consistent. Yeah, but you know, when we're talking dynasty, you gotta go like he's way more explosive than a Kirk,
Oh yeah,
right? Kirk is a lot more of
possession.
PPR possession kind of guy, where Tanky, and you know the thing with Tank was that he was just small, right? I mean, you don't see guys like that who are that kind of explosive, like in and out of their routes, really, you know, in that particular
Yeah,
fashion.
Tank is awesome.
So Tank's been really good. You know, he was one of those guys that's got one of those like wide receiver 2, I feel like ceilings. Like it can be a pretty consistent wide receiver 2, hopefully, if they keep throwing the ball like that. And, you know, Shout is
And
like,
his
listen, I'm slinging it. He's like, I'm gonna keep slinging it. And, you know,
yep. That's all the vote of
and
confidence you need if you
you
got
know,
Tank Dell.
and listen, that tutty was on a broken play. I mean, Dell had a nice little route, and then you saw CJ kind of step up and step outside, and then Dell kind of just, you know, turned right towards that pylon, and boom. I mean,
Yeah, I think the thing with Tank Dell is, listen, he's in a really good situation, right? He's got Nico Collins on the other side of him. He's got a really good young rookie quarterback to go. You know, obviously Tank is a rookie as well, so they're on a young kind of up and coming offense. And if Nico Collins goes out for any reason, Tank Dell is more than capable of slotting in there and producing, you know, for a game here or a game there as the wide receiver 1. I don't think he's that on a consistent basis, but man, he's been fantastic.
sure. So is that a good sell high right now? If you're not contending, obviously, if you're contending or you're middle of the pack, you probably want to keep a guy like Dell, unless you can tier up, right? Can you go get the Jamar Chase, right? Is Dell a guy that you can throw in that deal, you know, with somebody else, obviously, and maybe some picks or something? But you
Yeah.
know, is he a sell
I
high kind of guy if you're a non contender, maybe?
Oh, for sure. Tank Dell has a ton of value. Because we've seen what he can do. We've seen what his quarterback can do, right? We like to look at that team, especially and not only, and I think Wendell had brought this up, but having that foresight, right? Like you can talk him up and say, listen, he's been really good in his rookie year. He's got a really good quarterback in CJ Stroud, blah, blah, blah. Talk that up, throw something else in there, split, you know, add something to Tank Dell. It's probably going to have to be a lot more to Tank Dell to get a Jamar Chase, but maybe you can, you know, parlay that into AJ Brown. AJ Brown's had a bad down week, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, let's be realistic, right? What do you think, right? Tank Dell really could be, right? Could he be just a solid wide receiver 2 for
Mm-hmm.
fantasy? Is that kind of where you think his value should be at, or like is that? And it might be a little bit higher right now because he's playing really well and he's a rookie, so you know how we bump that up, right? So would you say
Yeah.
he's just kind of that wide receiver 2-ish?
Yeah, I think he slots in there perfectly as that boomer bust wide receiver too, right? Like
Mm.
because it doesn't ever feel like he's gonna give you a solid 15. It's gonna be 25 or 7. I feel like, like a guy like Nico Collins is gonna give you that more steady production, right? So I think Nico Collins is on the high end wide receiver 2, low end wide receiver 1 range, you know, especially with his youth and the quarterback in the situation there. Whereas Tank Dell, for me, is more of that, like I said, that mid wide receiver 2 with some of those boomer bust type weeks. So I think it would take a lot more with Tank Dell if you're trying to tier up based on, you know, how boom or bust he can be. I still like him. I think he's pretty awesome.
Well, he's just one of those take advantage guys that, can you take advantage of the value right now and tier up if you're not contending?
Yep.
Right. Tank Dell, 2 years older than George Pickens, 24-year-old rookie. Yeah. Crazy sometimes when you look at some of the ages. Logical answers to think about. Much appreciated. Appreciate you, Dylan. Oh yeah, he can't trade. He missed the trade deadline,
Yeah.
so only free. You're 9-2 with that team. How are you 9-2? Okay. Well, shit. If you're 9-2, you're 9-2. I mean, it's not like you can tank now. So,
right.
I mean, it is what it is. You're gonna have to roll with what you got. I mean, only free agents. You're gonna have to just be, be active on the waiver wire, I guess.
Listen, if you're 9-2, you definitely make the playoffs, right? The worst you could finish is 9-5.
Yeah, you're in there.
So
you're
just roll, dance with the girl that brought you there.
The Wolf said, "Will the Chiefs start giving Rashee Rice first wide receiver reps?" I mean,
at this point, what else? What other choices do
it's
they
tough.
have?
I mean, the problem with Rashee Rice is he doesn't play outside. Like, he's not good against press coverage. He's not good on the outside. He's okay on man coverage, but he's pretty good against zone coverage, and he's good after the catch. So he's just a different kind of wide receiver, and now he's playing in that slot role, which is probably the most important role on that team other than Travis Kelce.
Yep.
But you're just not going to see a ton of snaps. You're not going to see a ton of work. I mean, he's playing about 60-ish percentage of the snaps right now. So
it's been going up steadily.
Yeah, and then it went back down last game. So it went back down to 57. So he's steadily in like that 60-ish range.
60.
You could say low 60 percentage. But he's in the goal line packages, which is important, right? You see him all the time in the goal line packages. So that's why he's scoring the touchdowns that he's scoring, because he's there in those goal line packages. So, he's okay. I mean, he's one of those guys where you can take advantage of the situation where, he's on the Chiefs. People think he's going to, like you said, get more snaps. He can be, a lot more productive, and he could be. But realistically, what is that ever going to turn to? A wide receiver 3, like Juju was, wide receiver 3 flex? I mean, it's not that valuable. So I'm okay with coming off of Rashee Rice. Like,
yeah, listen, I listen, he's a rookie, right? Playing with Patrick Mahomes in an Andy Reid offense. I think there's room to grow. Do I think he's going to be, if he's Juju, like you kind of have to feel okay about that. If Rashee Rice turns into Juju from last season, wasn't great, but gave you steady production, right? Because Patrick Mahomes looked for Juju a lot last year, and Juju he really played well in that Super Bowl run. So, and even throughout the season, he was a little inconsistent, but
he's a vet though. He's a vet, right?
That's what I'm saying. He earned Patrick Mahomes' trust. And I think you're starting to see, because if you look at some of the early games, right? 31% snap, 18, 51, 46, 30, right? And we're talking about he's consistently now around 60%. So I think he's earning some of Patrick Mahomes' trust, because MVS, no. Sky Moore, not really. Right? Kadarius Toney. Okay.
He doesn't trust anybody, bro.
I understand.
When you see like some of the, like, he threw to Kelce a couple times yesterday, like over the middle, and like other guys like Sky Moore's running a slant wide open, he just won't throw it to anybody else. Like, he just always has to he just always throws it to Kelce. Like, and there's some other open guys in the flat sometimes too, where he just kind of force feeds it to Kelce. So that's just how the offense is going to be. I mean,
this reminds me of when the Packers had Devontae Adams and nothing else, right? He just hones in on that one guy. You'll see pockets of, guys making plays here, the Watsons, the Kadarius Toney. They started using Kadarius Toney as a running back yesterday, right? Now, maybe the weather was a little bit of a factor in that, or maybe they just, they're just looking for ways to create offense. So I think there's opportunities there for Rice. And I think, listen, I think if he has one of those boom games, I think it's a good opportunity to sell. Don't get me wrong. And I also think that there's an opportunity for him to grow with another full offseason with Patrick Mahomes in an Andy Reid offense. I think there is some wide receiver 2 upside there, but like you said, he's a wide receiver 3 as we stand.
Yeah. How do they know though he's playing? Yeah, I mean, he's okay. He's an okay receiver. He's good with Yak. He's good with the ball in his hands. And like they've got a few guys that are good with the ball in their hands, right? Rashid Rice, Kadarius Toney. As you saw, they're just trying to get plays. Like they're trying to get the ball in guys' hands that can make some plays. And Toney can do that when he's got the ball in his hands. He's not a reliable like wide receiver route runner, but get the ball in his hands and he can do some things with it, right? We talked about Rashid Rice, not a great, route runner per se, but finds the holes in the zone, able to catch those balls and able to run after the catch with the ball in his hands. So, that's what they're trying to do there. Defenses play, the Chiefs a lot different now. There's not really a threat to go over the top anymore. Right?
Yep.
I mean, it's MVS. They don't have that cheetah that can burn them over the top. So, it's a very different game that I think the Chiefs are trying to figure out and trying to find the personnel for. So we'll see what happens. But someone told me he's worth an early 24 first.
Talking about Tank Dell?
I think he's talking about Tank Dell. Yeah, that feels similar to the Puka hype where people were holding unless they got Olave in a first type prices. Yeah, I mean, it's rough. Everybody's going to want an early 24 first. There's no way he's worth an early 24 first. I would say maybe a late 24 first, like, but at that point, do you even do it? Right? At that point, it's like, shit, you might as well try and just package him up with something.
Yeah, because the 24
take
first is a little bit of a gamble. I'd rather package because then I'm getting a known commodity. I'm always the type, especially if you can, right? If you can, great. Especially for a guy like Tank Dell, if I'm looking to move Tank Dell, I don't think it's for a draft pick. I think I'm looking to package him with a draft pick maybe, and move up and get myself, an established guy that I know will be on my roster and be able to produce and kind of go from
Can I
there. So
give up
that's the route I would take.
Can I give up Dell in a second for like a mid 24 first?
I'm sure people would.
Do a
I'm
middle of
sure
the pack
people will bite
team?
on that. I'm sure somebody will bite on that because
Maybe.
Tank Dell's producing right now. Like
Dylan said, dance with the girl that bought you there. Yep.
at this point, that's what you got. And listen, 9-2 is pretty damn good. So that's a fine ass girl you brought to the dance, bro. At 9-2, let's keep it a buck.
You playing Rashid Rice or Gus Edwards?
It's Gus Edwards at this point, no?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, at any point it was probably Gus Edwards, but yeah, I mean, you got to hope for the tutty with Rashid Rice, and even then, still, you're looking at barely double-digit points. Like, you know what I mean?
Gus Edwards is getting all that goal line work.
Gus Edwards is getting all the goal line work. I know Keaton Mitchell's obviously really good, but Edwards is getting those important carries.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're still rolling with Gus Edwards until that train fails.
For sure.
Nino, what's up, Nino? With Boyle as a starter, I'm kind of worried for Brees not getting as much targets like he was with Zach. Should I go trade Brees for Rashad?
If this is redraft, yes.
Yeah, redraft.
Yes.
Redraft.
The answer is yes.
You could.
The answer is yes, because Zach Wilson's not taking another snap for the Jets, and if Tim Boyle doesn't work out, they're going to turn it over to Trevor Siemian. No, thank you. That offensive line is in shambles. Yeah, I'm taking Rachaad White in that PPR upside, and it's sad to say, but if you're going for the gusto, Nino, you gotta part with Brees at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Maybe you get Rashad plus.
Rashad's playing better than Brees.
Rashid is part of my Nebula 9 for the offseason. Sell for the leverage during the rookie draft. Yeah, I feel that. Absolutely.
I think I'm going to get fucked on this parlay because the Lakers are blowing out Utah. Bullshit.
Which, yeah, for sure. I'm for sure trying to sell Rashid. If you got him, especially towards that rookie draft, people are gonna People are gonna fiend for Rashi. Nick, what up, Nick? Drop pickings for Dubs.
Yep.
For Dubs.
I'm doing it.
Yeah, I mean, what pickings do last game? 4 for 38. 6 targets. Dubs scored the tutty, right? Dubs.
Yes, he did. Again.
Yeah, 5 for 6, 53 yards and the tutty.
Oh, he's got 7 touchdowns in 10 games.
He's scoring a shit ton of tutties.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, with Deontay back, I mean, Pickens ain't really it. So, yeah, I'll take a shot on Doobies.
Roll that dude.
But yeah, I guess that's what we're looking at here for, the playoff push, what we're trying to do for these contenders, middle of the pack, non-contenders. We went over some of the buys and sells in there already. Is there any buy maybe that you particularly have in mind that you are looking at, whether it's contending, middle of the pack, or non-contending? Is there anybody that you are or that you think is a really good kind of try and buy right now?
Well,
Obviously,
you brought up
other than the Burrow and Chase that we've brought up already.
Not particularly. I think Dubes and I think Jaden Reed is a really good buy. Especially a guy that, listen, he's not going to blow you away, but he's getting really, really solid production, and Jordan Love looks for him. And I love how they used him in terms of in the running game. I think he had three rushes last week. So I just love his versatility. He almost reminds me of that. He reminds me of that early Randall Cobb, where he was just doing a little bit of everything. And I really like Jaden Reed as a sneaky kind of buy low guy that you could slot into your wide receiver 3 flex and feel pretty good about it. I talked about Stephon Diggs, some of the bigger names. Michael Pittman might be an interesting buy as well. I know Gardner Minshew hasn't played that well, but I think after the bye week, they'll play a little bit better. I think I like Michael Pittman as a little bit of a buy as well. But yeah, mainly if you're those contending teams and you want to buy, I like some Stephon Diggs, especially going down the stretch. They always play pretty well in December going into the playoffs. Diggs has killed me in some playoff games, like absolutely killed me, where he had like 10 receptions on 14 targets for 150 yards. I think they're going to get their shit together in the later stages of this season.
Yeah, he'll for sure get his shit together. Yeah, I mean, at this point, like any of those, especially on the non-contenders, right, or even middle of the pack, any of those rookie guys that
Zay Flowers,
or are not putting up a ton of points, obviously, right now that you might be able to pry away. I mean, you mentioned the Jaden Reeds. I mean, the Josh Downs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
Guys we could be selling as well, right? Who were, some guys maybe that we could be selling. I mean, Puka's a really good one, and Diaz mentions it here in the chat. The Tank Dells we talked about, yep. Puka especially. I mean, listen, Stafford's getting older. We don't know how long that situation's lasting, with or without
getting hurt.
Cup.
And he's getting hurt more frequently.
He's not as, doesn't have that upside without a Stafford there. So, yeah, it is time to cash out on some of these guys and don't just get stuck on the production they had this year. Like, look at the whole picture, play the market, right? Because, when you're getting out on Puka right now at top dollar, like I think there's going to be a point where you can buy back in for cheaper. There's going to be a time when that comes where people are going to be wanting to move Puka. So Diaz said he's selling Puka. Tank Dell types on him on the clock to tear up. Chase, JJ, CD, AJ. Exactly. We're pressing hard for any of those tier ups that we can make. So, having some of those picks, having those draft picks, having those assets are, what's going to try and help you to tier up to some of these guys. So very important. It's a good point, Diaz. Love it. No, it's crazy how like people are trying to, people will trade Chase, JJ, CD, AJ Brown for, the Tank Dells or not even, or even just like the high draft pick. And it's like, bro, you're hoping that if it's not the Marvin Harrison, obviously, because he might be up there, but the Neighbors and all the other top wide receivers, right? You're hoping those guys turn into the guys you just traded.
When you already have those guys.
So, if you've already got those stable pieces, like there's no reason to give that up unless you're getting those guys plus, right? If it's not just you're getting that, the 104, the 105, like if it's Marvin Harrison, if it's Caleb, like maybe could understand it, but even still, I mean, damn, Chase and JJ are.
We did. I remember, and I'm never gonna forget this. We did a roster review, and some guy traded Justin Herbert like he was doing a rebuild, and he had all guys you want on your team.
He traded Justin Herbert, and he traded Jamar Chase or somebody.
I think so, yeah.
He traded Herbert and Chase for like some tier down pieces and some picks, but it was like a start 8. It was a shallow league, and Hammer's like, you traded away the guys that we're gonna go tell you to buy right now.
Because if you remember at that time, I believe this was last year, even before the offseason, where Justin Herbert didn't have a great season last year, right? Mm-hmm. So Jamar Chase had gotten hurt for a little bit of the season. And you had those guys. Like, those are the foundational pieces that you want to build around. Even if you're not contending, you don't sell those guys. Like, those are, especially in a super flex, I believe it was, you don't sell Justin Herbert. Like, that's the guy you want to acquire, for the cheap or cheaper, because he had a pretty down season last year. So yeah, so that just kind of got in my head, and that just really pissed me off.
Oh yeah, you don't need to trade those guys unless you're in deeper leagues, really. When you're in 10 plus starters and your team is trash, and you need to break it down. But especially in shallower leagues, like those guys are the guys that you need to win.
Yeah, bro.
So,
man, the weather out here.
This one Dynasty League, right? This Instagram Dynasty League that I'm playing. It's only a 10 team, my only 10 team league, but it is a super flex, and it's start 9. And it's start 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and it's start 9. So I've got Josh Allen. I had Deshaun Watson. Now I don't. But I've got CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, AJ Brown, TJ Hawkinson, Calvin Ridley. I've got Marquise Brown. I've got Deontay Johnson. And I'm just beating the shit out of everybody in this league. Like with the wide receivers that I have, that I built, that I traded for, whatever the case was. Like, I just built up and I was able to somehow get these top wide receivers, and I'm just killing everybody. And I have no QB2 right now because freaking Watson is out. So I got like Heineke and DTR, but I played Marquise Brown last week instead. And it worked out too well with Marquise Brown, but I still wind up thrashing whoever I played. So yeah, be mindful of the format that you play in, right? And what you need to win, and what guys are a little more valuable in some of those formats if you're going to try and win. So you're not going to win with an all, rookie team, an all under 25 team. Like, you have to have a balance. You have to have a mixture. We talk about that all the time. Like, you have to have some veterans to help you. You have to have some of those young core players that are, producing for you right now. It can't just be all young guys, and you don't want it to just be all old guys either, right? You want to have at least, on your bench, the next guys that you have coming up. Like, I'll give you an example. In one of my other Dynasty leagues, I've got Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, and Mike Evans, but I've also got CeeDee Lamb. I've also got T. Higgins. I've also got JSN. I've also got Chris Godwin. Like I've got the next wave of my younger guys to kind of take over when those guys, when those guys are ready to go. So I'm constantly kind of in contention for the next few years. So that's kind of how you want to have some kind of a balance, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of I kind of used that strategy when I was drafting in the subscriber league. Like I ended up taking Cheetah, and then I proceeded to take Chris Olave, and I had Jerry Jeudy, right? So I kind of mixed it in where Jerry Jeudy and Chris Olave are my younger guys. Olave, a little more productive than Jeudy, but I had Cheetah, so this way when if Cheetah does die on my team, whatever the case may be, I have Olave and Jeudy. Now I also had Tank Dell on that team. Right. So I was able, like, that it was my exact thought process where you kind of want to have a decent mix, because at the end of the day, you're still going to need to score points. You could have all the young guys you want, but if you just have a bunch of young guys, like if you have JSN, QJ, and Zay Flowers, you're not winning a lot of games with those guys right now. So you want to have the Tyreek Hills, the Devontae Adams, the Cooper Kupps, the Stephon Diggs, one or two of those guys. And then you got your young studs that kind of come up, towards the end of this season and then early into next season when they really have that breakout.
For sure. Kyle, what's up, Kyle? Ford, Madison, Mitchell, Gainwell, Boyd, Cooks, Gabe Davis, Fergie, McBride. Please set my lineup: 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, full PPR. No tight end. It's a flex.
Okay.
So it's just 1 flex, or is it 2 flexes? All right. Well, let's start with 2 running backs. Let's pick 2 running backs here.
Two running backs. We're taking. Damn. Keaton Mitchell is really interesting, but I don't think there's enough there yet. I think it's Ford. And Madison still. I like Keaton Mitchell, I really do, but I just don't think you could play him over those 2 guys. So I think I'm going Ford and Madison. For my wide receivers, just Jesus, I can't believe I'm saying this.
Need 2 of them. Only 3 there.
I'm not messing with Boyd without Burrow. You got to go Cooks and Gabe Davis. You got to leave Boyd on the bench there.
I agree with that. Yeah, I'm with Hammer so far.
And then in the flex, you're taking Fergie.
I'm taking Fergie over. What did McBride do last game?
I gotta check.
McBride, I mean, 5 for 43.
Yeah, but I still like Fergie I still like
the game before that. McBride went crazy for 131.
I mean, listen, you can make the argument. I still like Fergie's consistency and touchdown upside. If you like McBride, Zach Ertz is on IR, so for what that's worth.
Yeah, he's been on IR now. I'll go with McBride. Wait, who are they playing next week? Yeah, they got the Rams. Ferguson's got Washington. That defense is pretty washed, but I'll take McBride. Give me McBride there.
Yeah, I'm still rolling with Fergie. I like that.
Or would you play Mitchell instead?
No, just because I think Fergie and/or McBride is just going to give you a much safer floor. Mitchell's too much of a wild card right now, and Gus the Bus is running. Lamar still runs around. No Mark Andrews, but they still have Isaiah Likely. So Mitchell's too much of a wild card if I have these other options.
Does it make any difference that they're playing the Chargers next week?
No. It does
Yeah,
not.
he could bust one, but yeah, give me McBride. I feel that Stevie B just won it now. Shit. Wetting my feet, I feel. 1 flex. Okay, yeah, so we got that right.
Yeah, so
right.
Man, those are some rough options.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But yeah, guys, throw any last questions that you got in the chat. We'll hang out for a couple more minutes here. Did we miss anything, Hammer?
I don't think so. As of
Any other
yet,
points or anything you think we should add?
I don't think so. I think we took a pretty good run around the block with with how we're feeling, especially with the playoff push coming. Also remember this week, right? We got the 3 Thursday games. All right. We got a Friday game, Jets Dolphins, and then the Sunday slate. So just keep that in mind if you have any lineup issues or whatever the case may be. 3 Thursday games, a Friday game before we get to the Sunday slate.
Shit, should I hop on tomorrow night? Maybe I'll hop on tomorrow night.
Could do that.
I know I usually don't. Are you free tomorrow or no?
I should be. We're putting together the apartment that we're moving into, so we had to completely gut the whole thing. Like we had to paint, rip out the carpets, put the flooring down, and so it's a massive project. So I want to make sure I'm there.
We got games on Friday now too, right? So yeah, maybe I'll hop on. Maybe I'll hop on tomorrow, even if it's a little bit later, just for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll
answer whatever question. Answer whatever.
Depends on how late I'm there. Yeah. Depends on how late I'm there.
For sure.
Man, this is getting to the nitty gritty now. I love it. This goes by too fast, man. I just can't. We wait for it all year. It's here, and we're already in week 12. It's bananas. We're gonna be talking about the off season pretty soon.
It's crazy. You know what's crazy is just how Dynasty just never stops. Like it never stops.
Yeah,
like, I never
that's
stopped.
fair.
Like I was still on every week. I think more than once a week. Like because there was just there's just always Dynasty to do. There's just always trades to make. There's always values to take advantage of, news that comes out. Like,
yep, for sure.
You've got the draft, you've got the off season. People are starting to, pick up
free
on
agency.
Things start heating up with the draft picks and people trading and.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing now.
Favorite part about Dynasty.
I think that's the thing now is that, especially with all the coverage we have with the with everything is just an event now. Like everything is an event. Everything's a big deal, right? I remember in the in the off season when you were posting pictures of training camp highlights, and I'm like everything's an event, right? Training camp's an event, the draft's an event, the combine. You were talking about the combine for a while. Just everything's an event.
Yeah, I think we'll do a lot of buy, sell, holds. I think this off season we'll try and hit like a ton of players.
I like that. I like the roster reviews. The roster reviews I like doing.
We'll be doing roster. Yeah, we'll do a bunch of roster reviews as well. So I think roster reviews and buys and sells we'll focus on during the off season.
I like it.
Probably get Matt Waldman back on. We'll talk about some of the rookies coming.
I definitely want to get on with him. I actually watched the show that you did with him with the warp and stuff like that. So I definitely want to pick
that was Scott. That was Scott. That's Scott Connor. That's
okay.
That's one of the Dynasty geniuses strategy wise out there.
Gotcha.
It's Scott Connor. But Matt Waldman was the one I did the rookies with. We talked about
I was on there, right?
No. You were sick, I think. It was just me and him.
Okay.
Yeah, so but yeah, maybe I'll have him on. He's a scout. He works for the football guys. A lot of the NFL teams and scouts buy his scouting portfolio that he sells.
Oh shit! How about that?
About all the rookies that are coming in and everything like that. So
nice.
Go check out Matt Waldman. I think it's called the scouting portfolio or something. I have it. It's like $19 and he updates it every few months. Just kind of lets you know exactly what he's feeling, situations where guys fit, kind of fit best and all that. So Appreciate you, Catch. John said
Yeah,
he'll
man.
always listen in on Tuesday night while I work. Keep grinding, boys, putting together a good show. Appreciate you,
We love the
Catch. We try
support,
and keep
man.
this one a little more dynasty-ish. Still get redraft stuff and all that, but we try and keep it a little bit more dynasty-ish on Tuesdays. Thanks, gents in chat. Hit them likes. Appreciate you, Dylan.
Yeah, buddy.
Appreciate you. Smash that likes for us, guys. Appreciate you. If it's your first time in, smash the subscribe if you're having fun, you're liking the content. We appreciate you. Join the squad, join the team. Did the parlay hit? Diaz says. I think it's still going. It's still going.
No. It's bullshit,
Oh, it's
Diaz.
done?
So I ended up hitting 10 out of 12 because the Lakers were just absolutely blowing the Utah Jazz out of the water. So Anthony Davis covered his 20 points. LeBron ended up with 17. I needed 20. And for whatever reason, Lauri Markkanen didn't play in the second half. So he ended up with 10. So I ended up hitting 10 out of 12. If that was a competitive game, it would have hit. Very disappointing. I actually saw some guy on Instagram hit like a $15 parlay for like $3,000 on a couple of games tonight. He had like Trae Young and Tyrese Halliburton for 35 points and 5 made threes, and he hit it. $15, $3,000. I'm like, bro, I can't even hit 400 right now. Fuck.
Josh, what up, Josh? Don't know much about Dynasty. Can you explain how it works? Was thinking about doing it next year. Yeah, maybe we'll do a video in the off season about just like beginner, I guess, Dynasty stuff. Maybe, even as far as like starting up the league and like settings and shit like that. Maybe we'll get into that. But I mean, Dynasty is basically you are the GM of your team and you keep your players every year. You keep all of those players. So,
and you do your rookie drafts.
You have a rookie draft every year where, the new rookies coming in, everybody has draft picks that you're able to draft some of these rookies that are coming in onto your team. It's a lot more strategy based, based on your format, of course. Is it 2 quarterback? Is it 1 quarterback? How many starters is it? So essentially it's the same thing as fantasy, like redraft-ish, but you just have the same team, forever. So you don't want to have a bunch of the old guys and then all of a sudden you have nobody on your team after a couple years, right? So it's just a lot different in the off season and everything. So it's a lot more responsibility. It's a lot more active. And just yeah, I would recommend like start with your home league. Like if you have a home league, redraft league, and maybe those guys want to turn it into a dynasty league. Like you want to start with kind of other beginners. Don't jump in these shark infested waters out here because there's some fucking sharks. Like Diaz out there in the chat. Shout out to Diaz.
Diaz is a shark.
It gets rough. So yeah, start with beginners, other guys that may be in your redraft leagues, and and start it up and learn how to play, and watch dynasty videos, watch us. I mean, we're here for you. So any questions that you have, you're of course welcome to ask.
Yes, sir.
You can hit us up on Instagram as well. Dynasty Life Fantasy should be in the description there on our page. But yeah, we are willing to answer any other questions you got, Josh. Appreciate you. Richard, with Amari stock dropping, yeah, man, should I consider dropping for downs? There's nobody else you can drop. Like,
yeah, I don't know if I would drop Amari.
There's got to be someone else out there, Richard.
I don't know if I could do that.
Dylan said, "Y'all welcome to the trap house." Appreciate you, Dylan. No, you're gonna get checked at the door. Otherwise, shit talking in sports or fashion.
We bring the heat, though. We don't. You know what the thing is? The thing I've loved about this show, and especially for everybody out there that have gotten to know us, especially me and Steve, obviously. We dig a little bit deeper on certain things. Diaz calls me the big spoon. Big spoon, little spoon. So we really build that rapport with you guys. And I this is something that I've enjoyed. I took communications as in college. So I've always wanted to do like radio, be on TV, stuff like that. Sports Center, I've wanted to be on. So this has just been so much fun just to grow this whole thing with you guys. And you've made it super fun for us. And not only talking just sports, but we talk about, sometimes we take deep dives into other things as well. So yeah, keep that rolling. No, Diaz.
Yes. What are we cashing out on?
So FanDuel, right?
Cashing out on.
So FanDuel is very weird. MGM. So I bet MGM. Like if I'm betting hockey, if I'm betting hockey and straight up teams, it lets me cash out. Like if you're ahead in a few games and whatever the case may be. But FanDuel is very weird when you're betting player points in a parlay. It didn't let me cash out, which is very, very strange. Like I had a situation where I was betting hockey. And I was ahead in like 5 games. I think it was like a 10-leg parlay, and I was ahead in like 5 or 6 games. And I was able to cash out like $75 on like a $10 bet or something like that. So FanDuel is very weird with the cash out. MGM is a little bit better with the cash out. And maybe, I guess it's just because of what I was betting on today.
All right, guys, we're about to get up out of here. Appreciate everybody for coming out as usual. I'll probably get back on tomorrow night, at least for a little bit, because I know there's a lot of games Thursday and Friday, so I don't want to miss any questions anybody has. At least try and be there at least for a little bit tomorrow night. Hopefully,
yeah. I'll see what I could do. Like I said, got to work on the crib, but depending on what time, I'll hit you up. Don't let you know.
All right, that works. But yeah, appreciate y'all. We are up out of here. Peace.
You ready, Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Show me the money.
Oh, you didn't know?
Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling.
Put my shoes on, you wouldn't last a mile.
Summertime, wintertime, I'm on the grind. Yeah, I got the ring, I'm the champ, I'm the Judy of the lamb. This is the gift I was given, so I just live by my hustle.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby. Yeah. It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah, I need me put in my pocket. It don't make sense, but don't make a profit. It's all a hustle, ladies and homies. Make money, money.
It's hard out here for a pill. Really tryna get this money for the real.
I want to find a thing to save my life, so I hustle.
It ain't over for me, no, it ain't over.